Have you ever stopped to think about how an insurance company or maybe your pension fund can promise to pay you money decades from now? I mean, they're making a solid promise about a future that is totally up in the air. So, how can we actually trust that the money's going to be there when we need it? Well, that's the whole challenge of governing uncertainty, and today we're going to break down exactly how they pull it off.
Seriously, just think about that for a second. How can any company promise to pay for a massive hurricane, a crazy flood, or even just your retirement in 50 years? None of these things have happened yet. But that promise has to be rock solid today. That's the core puzzle we're trying to solve here.
And this gets right to the heart of it. These big institutions have to make real, concrete financial decisions right now, like what to invest in, exactly how much cash to set aside, and they have to do it all based on a future that's, completely unpredictable. It's kind of like a high wire act, balancing what you know today with all the possibilities of tomorrow.
So, how in the world do they manage this balancing act? Well, the very first step in their playbook is to set the rules of the game. Before they even think about making promises, they have to decide precisely how much risk they're willing to take on. This whole process is about defining their risk appetite. This brings us to a really core concept, risk appetite. The best way to think about it is like the company's own constitution for taking risks. Look, it's not about avoiding risk altogether. Risk is how you make money, right? But it is about managing it on purpose. It answers the big question. To hit our goals, what kinds and what levels of risk are we actually comfortable with?
So, how does a big picture idea like risk appetite actually turn into day-to-day action? Well, it kind of cascades down into more and more specific rules. First up, you've got risk capacity. That's the absolute max, the financial breaking point the company could handle without going under. Then you get more specific with risk tolerance, which is all about the acceptable level of risk for a certain project. And finally, you have hard risk limits. These are the non-negotiable red lines that, if you cross them, it's all hands on deck. It's how a broad strategy becomes a set of rules people can actually follow. And you have to remember, not all risks are created equal. These companies have to think about systematic risk. That's the big picture stuff that affects everybody, like a global recession. You just can't get rid of that. But they also have to manage diversifiable risk, things that are specific to just one company or one asset. And that's where the old saying comes in: by not putting all their eggs in one basket, they can control that kind of risk.
All right, so the rules for taking risks are all set. But how do you take a fuzzy promise about the future and turn it into a cold, hard number today? That brings us to part 2 of the playbook, valuing the future. And yep, this is where the actuaries come in. They follow a pretty logical process, actually. First, they build a model of all the possible payments they might have to make down the road. Second, they make some really educated guesses, or assumptions, about all the uncertain stuff, like how long people will live or what inflation will do. And third, and this is the magic step, they discount all of those future promises down to a single number, its value in today's money, or its present value. The main tool in their toolkit for this is called the discounted cash flow method, or DCF. Honestly, you can think of it as a financial time machine. It answers one simple question. To pay out $1 million in 30 years, how much money do we need to put away today? It literally translates the future into the language of the present. And the result of all that DCF math is something called provisions, or you might hear the term reserves. Now, this is not just some number on a spreadsheet. It's the real-world outcome of all that work. It is a specific pile of money that the company's legally required to have, right now, to prove it can keep its promises. It's the promise made real. Now, here's a cool thing. The amount of money you need to set aside today, that present value, is hugely impacted by risk. If you invest in super safe, low-risk stuff, you're not expecting huge returns, so you need to set aside more money today. But if you take on higher risk, you're hoping for higher returns to do some of the heavy lifting for you. That means you can use a higher discount rate, which actually lowers the amount you need to reserve today. It's a really critical trade-off they have to manage.
Okay, so we've got the rules, that's the risk appetite, and we've got the numbers, that's the valuation. But how does anybody else, like you and me, know that the rules are any good and the numbers are actually correct? Well, that brings us to the final and absolutely crucial piece of the puzzle, reporting. And this quote says it all. The entire financial system, the whole thing, is built on confidence. If there's no trust, it just falls apart. So regulation isn't just about filling out forms. It is the absolute bedrock that makes these long-term promises believable in the first place.
So to build that confidence, regulators have a pretty specific toolkit. They're like the gatekeepers. They vet companies before they can even open their doors. They watch over management, enforce the rules, and they're not afraid to impose sanctions when things go wrong. A huge part of this is demanding transparency through things like a detailed actuarial or solvency report. This makes sure that we, the consumers, and the market have the info we need to actually trust the system.
Which brings us to this really important idea, the actuarial control cycle. What this shows us is that reporting isn't just some document you file once a year and forget about. It's a living, breathing feedback loop. You define a problem and create a solution, but then you have to constantly monitor what's happening in the real world. That new information then feeds right back into refining your assumptions and improving the solution. It's a process that keeps the system strong for years and years.
So let's put it all together now. It's time to tie these three big ideas together to see the whole picture of how uncertainty is really governed.
What does all this add up to? How do these separate pieces, the rules, the numbers, the reporting, come together to create a system you can actually rely on for decades? Here it is. It's all about a powerful governance cycle. The risk appetite sets the rules, the valuation gives you the numbers to back up those rules, and the reporting communicates those rules and numbers to the whole world, which creates accountability. Each part makes the other stronger, creating this stable, self-correcting system that's literally designed to keep promises. So, the next time you see a company making some huge, long-term financial promise, you've got a new way to think about it. You can ask, what are their rules for taking risks? How are they calculating the numbers behind their promises? And just how open are they in their reporting? The real question is, which of those three things will you check first to decide if you can trust their promise?